Well, right now, the WWE, like many other agencies, is trying to keep things operating as normal as possible. But the ongoing coronavirus pandemic is obviously hindering that. So, for more on the changes they've had to make, I want to bring in CBS pro wrestling expert Chuck Carroll. So, Chuck, there's so much going on right now. They've been performing with no live audience as of late. And even with their biggest pay per view of the year, WrestleMania, that's a loss of revenue for them. So, I want to know, what kind of impact is this having on WWE?
Well, the loss of WrestleMania is having a huge impact on revenue. There's no way that they were able to recoup all of the costs by canceling the show. Remember, it was just only a few short weeks between the time that they canceled and when the show was supposed to occur. So I'm sure that they lost a ton of money that they had fronted for production costs. But we don't really know what the true magnitude of that will be. And we won't know for at least another 3 months when they release their next earnings. So far, and WWE released their first quarter earnings this week, and they were fantastic. The COVID pandemic struck so late in March that WWE really was unaffected financially. So when they made all of these talent layoffs, these releases, and then they furloughed so many employees, that's really looking ahead to the next quarter to try to offset those losses because they will be in the millions. The good news for WWE, though, is that they can also fall back on these massive television contracts that went into effect last October. So they're still posting record profits, but without WrestleMania, still not going to be what they once could have been.
Right. And Chuck, and you touched on this a little bit with the furloughs. What kind of steps is the WWE taking so that they can keep operations running in this environment?
Quite a few. I mean, they have moved heaven and earth to be able to run at the WWE Performance Center, which is usually just devoted to training for the next crop of stars at NXT. But they've turned that into a makeshift in-house production studio where they're running virtually all of their shows, both Raw and SmackDown. NXT is actually ironically taped elsewhere nearby, but they have saved a ton of money in that. So when Vince McMahon was asked about this on the call with investors, he actually pointed to the fact that, well, no, we're not making any money right now on ticket revenue, but we also don't have the enormous production costs that are normally associated with hauling all of this gear to different cities every single week. They've set it up. They set it up once. It's standing there, and they're just saving buku bucks from that. So it's really kind of a push on that front. But they're also going to extraordinary measures to make sure that that talent, the performance center, stays safe and they mitigate the potential for spread of the coronavirus among employees and athletes.
Right. And so, Chuck, where do we go from here? How is the WWE going to keep fans engaged in a world where really this is the only live sports that's happening right now?
I mean, that is the $1 million question. The shows have lost a little bit of their sizzle without the fans there. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. So Vince McMahon was upfront about this as well. He said, well, look, we're actually going to be doing more than just matches. We're going to have little movies like we kind of saw at WrestleMania with the Undertaker's match with AJ Styles, the Boneyard match. Nobody knew what that was, but it wound up stealing the show. It was so theatric, so cinematic. And so I think that we'll see more movie style presentations like that. He also said that there would be more personality profiles to kind of fill the time because nobody can sit there and watch 2 and 3 hours of empty arena matches. It's just not the same. But the one thing that I will give Vince McMahon credit for, he's like, look, if anybody can figure out how to do this, it will be us. He has always been able to roll with the punches. Even though this is unprecedented, I honestly have no doubt that they'll be able to do just that.
It is the year of innovation for sure. Chuck, thank you so much for joining us today. And you can read Chuck's full article on our CBS Local Sports page. Katie Johnston for CBS Local Sports.